In today's video, I'm going to share with you 10 reasons why your spouse or partner may have pulled away from you and how to reconnect with them. And I'm also going to share one essential trait that every strong relationship or marriage has that you absolutely need if you want your marriage or relationship to stand the test of time. So before we get going, make sure you hit that notification bell and subscribe to my channel so you can be in the know when my next video on relationship mastery drops. For those of you that are new here, welcome. And for returning visitors, thank you for coming back. My name is Elizabethritchie. I'm a relationship coach and registered clinical counselor. And for many years, I've helped individuals and couples create more joyous and fulfilled lives and create that relationship mastery that is so important. Okay, let's do it. Let's move on to 10 possible reasons why your spouse or partner may have pulled away from you and they're isolating themselves. And we're going to talk about ways you can reconnect with your partner again. And I'm also going to touch on that one important trait that every relationship needs in order for it to be successful. All right, so first off, I want to ask you 3 prompts, 3 questions that may help provide a bit more backstory to your relationship and for you help bring more awareness to some elements of your relationship that maybe you haven't really focused on too much. And these elements may actually explain in part, maybe or maybe not, why your partner has drawn away from you. So the first one is this a one-off argument that you've had with your partner and now he or she has withdrawn and is isolating himself, maybe upset after the aftermath of the argument? Or are you a couple who tends to argue about the same sort of things over and over again, but without any real resolution? The second one is, do you and your partner come from similar backgrounds? Do you come from similar, experiences? Or is there a lot of differences there? And, with your families of origin, when you look at your partner's family and your family, did your family communicate a lot? Were they great communicators? Or were they not great communicators and they didn't talk about difficult things and maybe things were swept under the rug? And the same goes for your partner. What was his family experience like? What was their family experience like? Do you think at the moment that you and your partner are living in integrity, that you're being truthful with each other, that you're living with honesty and transparency and things are above board? Or do you think for one of you, or maybe both of you, or maybe none of you, do you think that maybe somebody is telling lies to themselves to sort of prop up their self-esteem because they really don't want to acknowledge what may be going on underneath the surface? So there's 3 questions there for you, 3 prompts to consider as to why your partner may have drawn away from you. In a relationship, it's just not about the 2 people in the relationship. It's really about all the experiences that they bring to it and what they've gone through in their lives. Let's just say we'll call it the luggage. So it's the luggage they bring to the relationship, and that includes the family of origin stuff. So what about you? What is your experience? Was your family a family of communicators? What about your partners? Were they great at talking things out, or did things stay silent and nobody really addressed the issues? So I'd love to hear from you. Please share in the comments below. What was your family of origin like in terms of communication and your spouses or partners? Okay, let's look at the 10 reasons why your partner may have shut you out. And we're also going to talk about that one very important trait that every relationship needs in order to go the distance. One of the reasons why your partner may have disconnected from you and is isolating is it, we touched on this briefly before, is it because you had an argument? So it's a one-off argument and your partner's withdrawn. That would be the first reason. The second reason, could they be overwhelmed by information that you're giving them, or are they overwhelmed by the situation at hand, the reason why you were having a conflict? Maybe they just aren't sure how to deal with it. And so they're feeling pressured in some way. And sometimes when people feel pressured, they just shut everything right down. If you think your partner is the type of person who, when pressured or presented with information that maybe is difficult for them to deal with, or if they feel challenged in some way, I would recommend that you check out this video on emotional flooding and overwhelm that I did in the context of a relationship, and why you need to manage overwhelm and emotional flooding in order to get your relationship on track and always working going forward. Number 3, the third reason why your partner may just be shutting you out, walking away, closing down a bit, is because they don't have the confidence to deal with the issue at hand or the problem. They're not sure what to do. So they feel a bit out of control. They feel like, they want to be the person that you turn to that has the answers and that can fix things. And maybe in this situation they can't. So there's a lack of confidence there. And rather than discuss that with you, because maybe they feel a little bit embarrassed or they feel a bit ashamed, they're just going to shut down and disconnect instead. The fourth one kind of goes with the third one, and this is a biggie. The fourth reason why your partner could be shutting down is that they don't feel safe in the relationship. So there has to be emotional safety in a relationship in order for your partner to trust you, to share, personal, intimate information with you, to address some of these difficult conversations that every relationship has to go through. Maybe the emotional safety isn't there, and that has to be earned through, honesty, trust, sticking to your word, proving that you'll do what you say you will do, not talking about your relationship in a disparaging way. So, ask yourself, is our relationship emotionally safe for my partner? Because that could be one reason. Your partner shutting out, do you think it may be because of something that they experienced in their childhood with their family of origin? So I'm talking about things like trauma, neglect, emotional needs not being met. That could result in your partner shutting down, as mentioned, because in some cases, it's not something that happened to a person that causes trauma or mental health issues. It can actually be the absence of something. And I just read an excellent book by Dr. Gabor Mate and Dr. Gordon Neufeld called Hold On to Your Kids, Why Parents Need to Matter More Than Peers. And this book came out, I think, about 20 years ago, and I've been wanting to read it for a long time and finally did, and they have an updated version. But in that book, they talk about how a child can have their physical needs met. So they've got food, they've got shelter, they've got clothes, they have an education, but their emotional needs are not met. So that means that the parents or the caregivers are physically present and giving everything physically that the child needs, but emotionally they're not present. Maybe because they're dealing with their own mental health issues or addictions, or it was how they were raised, but the emotional needs are not met. And then of course you carry that with you from childhood right into your present day relationship. So if you think this could be the case, I recommend that you check out this video, 3 steps that can prevent disconnection, emotional disconnection in your relationship, and what to do about it. And that's a video I made not too long ago that may explain that a little bit more. So you might want to check that out. Number 6, have you really truly been listening to what your partner has been telling you? Have you been reflecting back the information that they've been sharing with you over these past weeks or months? And so that they recognize that, hey, he or she is truly listening to me. My partner is listening to me. My partner gets it. Sometimes people shut down and pull away because they don't feel like they're being listened to. They don't feel like they're being heard. And this again links to, is there emotional safety in the relationship? Is the relationship a safe container where both partners feel safe? Seventh reason why your partner could be disconnecting from you, isolating a bit, is they could be experiencing a mental health issue. So we talked about before, if they had a childhood of some type of neglect, emotional or physical, that could be manifesting in your current relationship. Or it could be something like anxiety, depression, PTSD, bipolar disorder. That could be present, and that's a reason why your partner and you are just not connecting. So you really have to check that box off and address that as well. Okay, reason number 8, why your partner may have pulled away from you. Have you been in competition with each other in your relationship? Are you both competitive people? And maybe you've been more focused on scoring wins for yourself than actually scoring wins for the relationship. So remember, the relationship is a container and we need to nurture it and keep it going. And if it's too much about winning or scoring points on arguments, then that's going to slowly chip away at your relationship. Number 9, maybe your partner actually hasn't been hearing you, so doesn't understand where you're coming from, and is just like, I don't know what's going on here, and I'd rather just not talk about things. And so they've kind of disconnected from you for that reason. So look at how you've been speaking to them, how you're trying to get your message across. It's especially damaging if there is lots of crying, lots of yelling, harsh words, name calling, not bringing up things at, appropriate times, just kind of launching into stuff when your partner's not prepared or ready for it. So watch that. Maybe your partner has not really actually been hearing you, where you're coming from. Number 10, you got to be really honest with reason number 10 here. Number 10, could your partner have quietly quit or is quietly quitting your relationship? So we've heard that about that at work, right? That phrase, quietly quitting. And so it's like you're there again in body, but not in spirit. So you're there physically, but you're not there emotionally. And so you're going through the motions, but you're really not vested in the relationship anymore. So you need to take a good hard look at your relationship, what's happening between you and your partner, and ask yourself, have I quietly quit this relationship? Or as my partner, is he quietly or she quietly quitting this relationship? And then you need to be brave enough to, question your partner on this. And it does take a lot of bravery to have those difficult conversations, because sometimes, people will quietly quit rather than say those words like, I'm not happy anymore, or I don't think this relationship is working. So they pull away, they disconnect, and then the relationship just breaks down over time until the other partner just says, I've had enough, I can't deal with this anymore. So that's reason number 10, maybe your partner is quietly quitting the relationship. At the beginning of this video, I talked about the one key element that is super important to a successful relationship and to ensure that a relationship lasts over time, or a marriage, and that is the ability to repair. So you need to repair the ruptures in your relationship. So ruptures, I mean conflicts, arguments, times when things have broken down, times when you stop talking to each other and you pull away. So, rupture and repair is normal in every relationship. But the key thing with the relationship masters, the people that really know their stuff and know how to have a good relationship, is they move quickly, both of them, to repair. So maybe somebody lost their head and yelled or did something or forgot something, and then there was a bit of an argument over it and feelings were hurt. That happens. That's life. All couples argue. But what you need to do is you quickly need to move to repair it. And the couples that don't go the distance are the ones that rupture and rupture and rupture, but they don't put in the work of repairing. So coming up next, I'm going to talk about ways you can repair if your partner has drawn away from you. Okay, home stretch here. We talked about rupture and repair. We talked about 10 reasons why your partner may have pulled away. And now we're going to talk about a few ways that you can actually reconnect with your partner and go from feeling isolated and lonely to connected and loving again. So first thing to remember is there has to be that emotional safety in the relationship. If there isn't, that would be the first place to start working on. You need to have that emotional safety in order for your partner to feel connected and to open up with you. The second part of that is you need to be vulnerable as well. So if you want your partner to be vulnerable with you, you need to be honest, truthful, and authentic about what's going on and what's happening in your world. And that in turn will inspire your partner to do the same. So you're building that emotional safety. And vulnerability is key. You know, you've probably heard of Brené Brown. She's a major vulnerability researcher, and she's got TED Talks that have been watched millions of times. And she talks about how vulnerability is a superpower. And we tend to think of it as being a weakness, but really it's not. It's the opposite. It's a superpower, and it helps people to connect with us. And she describes it as being the birthplace of joy, creativity, faith, love, all the good things in life. They spring from vulnerability. So I'll also put a link to her TED Talk, but I'll put it in the comments below. So third thing to keep in mind when you are wanting to repair that connection with your partner is if you need to talk about something tough, if it's a difficult problem or issue in the relationship, you need to approach it gently. So again, that's part of the whole emotional safety. And it's not, as I mentioned earlier, it's not like when your partner walks through the door and they've had a long, tiring day and all they're thinking about is having some dinner and putting their feet up, you're launching into some, big, heavy discussion full of emotion that he or she is not prepared for. So you want to have a gentle startup. You want to think about what you're going to say before you say it, and just really be careful about how you approach things. There's a time and a place for everything. The fourth way that you can try to reconnect and get closer with your partner is to, when you're communicating, is to use I messages. So instead of saying, well, you did this and then I felt really bad, you want to rephrase that and you want to reframe it, and you want to say something more like, when you're out all the time with your friends or you're working these long hours, I feel very lonely. And I would like us to, be connected again like we were in the early days of our relationship. I would love for that to be the state again because I miss you. So you see in that example how I use those I statements. So instead of sort of being accusatory or saying, well, you did this wrong and I got a problem with you, you want to have it coming from yourself, how you're feeling. Or another way to reconnect is you want to have a zero tolerance policy for harsh words, negativity, name calling. There's just no place for it. Big emotions like loads of tears and slamming doors and, slamming things down on the table. So again, gentle startup, watch the emotional safety, think about what you're going to say before you say it. Don't get triggered in having, get triggered by the heavy emotions that come up in a relationship, and you want to proceed gently. So you can talk to your partner about, I really want to discuss this with you. Is this a good time? If not, when would be a good time? Let's kind of make some boundaries around that discussion, that we're not going to call each other names. We're not going to be harsh towards each other. Let's just stick to the facts and how we are each feeling using those I messages. If your communication skills are not great in your relationship and you think that could be part of the problem why your partner has drawn away, then you want to work at improving those. So you got to start looking at how are you communicating and use some of these techniques that I've talked about, like the I messages, or if you really kind of are the type of person who forgets what they want to say when they're in the moment, writing a script out is also a good idea, and practicing a bit on your own so you feel confident about what you're going to say and you're not going to go off track, which often happens. And that's normal, but with practice, you can, in a script, you can stay on it. We now know that there are multiple reasons why your partner could have pulled away and disconnected from you. Multi-layered reasons, some that may go back to their family of origin, some things that may deal with mental health issues. So we're talking about complex stuff. But now you also are aware that the key element that successful relationships have are the ability to repair, and to repair quickly. And I gave you several ways that you can start to work on repairing that relationship and moving closer to your partner and bringing your partner back in. If you like this video today and you got good content, make sure you hit the notification bell, subscribe to my channel, and share what you thought in the comments below. And that way you'll be first in line when my next video on mastering your relationship drops. And I'll also put all the links below to the video, Brene Brown video I mentioned. And we also have a Facebook group for women, Revitalize Relationships. You might want to check that out as well. And if you are still struggling, after this and after implementing some of these things, and you're still struggling a bit and you're not sure what to do, then consider booking a breakthrough call. Information is below this video, and we can have a strategy session where we talk about how we may be able to assist you in your relationship going forward. I would love to hear from you. So thank you very much. Till next time.